Russian infantry haven't missed out in the latest wave of Team Yankee releases. They get the BMP-3, an upgrade of the BMP-1 or 2 infantry fighting vehicles already represented in the game. Join me for a look at the plastic. This is the new BMP-3 for Team Yankee. The BMP-3 is an upgraded design of infantry fighting vehicle for Soviet forces in the game. This gives Russian players something to rival the M2 Bradley or the Warrior MICV for NATO forces. The reason it's just a sprue and not a box set is that this kit was sent to me by the restless Kaiser from Modelling for Advantage. He kindly pulled one out of his starter box and sent it along for review. So a big thanks to the Kaiser and Modelling for Advantage for their generosity. Let's look at the plastic. The BMP-3 comes on a single sprue of dark olive green plastic. Parts count on this kit is quite low. It should be quick and easy to put together. The parts seem to be well moulded and have sufficient detail for a wargaming kit at this scale. This is the level of quality we expect to see from Battlefront plastics. Here's the upper hull. There's a good level of engine deck and hatch detail here. All the hatches are moulded closed. There's an engine grille as well as some tools moulded onto the upper deck. Next up is the turret. The upper turret and guns are all moulded as an integral piece. This looks solid and makes assembly simple. The lower turret piece has the smoke discharges moulded on. The track parts are single pieces, moulded integral with the hull sides. This is a common engineering choice for current Battlefront plastic kits. Watch out for join lines at the hull edges during assembly. Road wheel and track detail is good. There are open and closed options for the commander's hatch, the other parts of the hull rear and an unditching beam. So that's it for the kit parts. A simple kit with just a few parts, but looks like it will build up well. Again, I'd caution you to watch for gaps at the hull joins during assembly, but this works okay for most of the recent Battlefront kits. The BMP-3 is currently only available in the Team Yankee Complete Starter Set. I assume it will become available in 5 vehicle platoon box sets soon, but I don't have any details yet. I can show you this image of a completed kit. This is available on the Starter Set page on the Team Yankee website. The Starter Set Start Here guide also has the assembly instructions for the vehicles. Here's the one for the BMP-3. You can download a PDF of the Start Here guide from the Team Yankee website. BMP-3 was designed as a successor to the earlier BMP-1 and 2 IFV designs. The chassis started out as Object 685, an amphibious light tank design. The light tank never entered service, but the chassis was used as the basis for Object 688, a new infantry fighting vehicle. The prototype was originally armed with a 30mm cannon in a remote-control low-profile turret. However, in the production version this was replaced by the 2A23 turret. The main gun is a 100mm gun launcher, capable of firing conventional HE shells or launching the 9M117 Bastion anti-tank missile. The turret also has a 30mm autocannon and a 7.62mm machine gun mounted coaxially with the main gun. There are a further 2 forward-firing 7.62mm guns mounted in the hull. This array of weapons gives BMP-3 options suitable for different types of engagements. BMP-3 has a crew of 3, driver, gunner and commander, and can carry 7 infantry passengers. BMP-3 entered production in the late 80s, being shown for the first time in public at the 1990 Victory Day Parade. Russia has over 700 BMP-3s in service, and the vehicle has been widely exported. As I said, the BMP-3 is currently only available with the Team Yankee Complete Starter Set. The card in that set is for the BMP Scout rather than the transport version. Let's look at how that will work on the table. The BMP-3 Scout is a tank unit with the amphibious, infrared and spearhead special rules. Amphibious means impassable water is treated as difficult terrain, so BMPs can cross water obstacles on the table. Infrared allows you to roll 2 dice on the night visibility table and take the highest score. And because this is a scout unit, Spearhead lets you expand your deployment area. The BMPs get the usual Soviet spread of stats, with a good 3+ for morale and remount, 4+ for courage and counterattack, and 5+ for skill and assault. They're hit on a 3+. Front armour is 5, side 3 and top 1. This puts the protection on par with Warrior and Bradley, and puts the BMP's armour over the deployment threshold for some defensive missions. Keep that in mind. Tactical move is 10 inches or 25 centimetres, with good terrain and cross-country dash speeds. You should be able to dash these well up into the enemy rear if you find an open flank. The BMP gets a few weapon stat lines. The first is the 100mm 2A70 gun. This has a 24-inch or 60cm range with a moving and halted rate of fire of 1. Anti-tank is 5 with a 2+ firepower. The gun gets the brutal rule, which makes infantry and unarmoured tank teams re-roll successful saves. On a gun with a 2+ firepower to start with, brutal will be devastating. Great for digging out entrenched infantry. Laser rangefinder means no to hit penalty for engaging targets over 16 inches. The stabiliser special rule means BMPs can actually move up to 14 inches or 35 centimetres and fire with a +1 penalty to hit. If they tactical move more than 10 inches, only stabilised weapons can fire and the unit can't assault. The 100mm gun can also fire the AT-10 Stabber missile. This has a minimum range of 16 inches or 40 centimetres, reaching out to 48 inches or 120 centimetres. This gives BMP-3 a nice long punch. Rate of fire is 1, and the missile can be fired both while stationary or on the move. AT is 21 with a 3+ firepower. The guided special rule means no to hit penalty when firing over 16 inches, while heat means the target's armour doesn't get the +1 increase over 16 inches. But heat weapons are affected by BDD, applique, bazooka skirts, cobham and ERA armour. BMP-3's turret also mounts a 30mm 2A42 gun. This fires out to 20 inches or 50 centimetres, with a halted rate of fire 3 and moving of 2. AT is 10 with a 5+ firepower. This gives the BMP a weapon with more shots against lightly armoured targets. The gun also gets the anti-helicopter rule, so can fire at rotary wing aircraft. It has a laser rangefinder which removes the +1 penalty firing at targets over 16 inches range. The 30mm gun is also stabilised, so you can fire it with a penalty if you make a 14-inch tactical move. BMP has a coaxial 7.62mm machine gun and 2 bow machine guns. These are all covered in a single stat line with 16-inch range, moving and halted rate of fire of 3 with AT2 and 6 firepower. Given the coax and 2 bow guns, I had wondered if the rate of fire would be higher. This is the part of the review where I would talk about lists and unit costs. However, until the new Soviet book is released, there's only this entry for a BMP-3 Recon Platoon in the starter box. This gives you 2 BMP-3s for 5 points, 3 for 7 and 4 for 9. This works out between 2.5 and 2.25 points per vehicle. I would guess the transports without the spearhead rule might come in a little cheaper. So that's the new BMP-3 kit for Team Yankee from Battlefront. It's a nice and very simple kit. The BMP-3 gives Soviet players an updated IFV to put up against the new Bradleys and Warriors for the US and the British. However, front armour of 5 does bring them up to the deployment limit for some defensive missions. Keep that in mind. Given how effective BMP-2s were, you'd have to ask if the BMP-3 is worth the extra points. The AT-10 Stabber missile only has AT-21, the same as the Spandrel. The difference is the Stabber can fire on the move, but it does have a longer minimum range. AT-21 is okay for many tanks, but will struggle against the new more heavily armoured tanks in the latest round of releases. However, the 100mm main gun with Brutal might prove useful for digging infantry and missile teams off objectives. And the way the rules work, you could fire the 30mm gun at helicopters in the enemy turn, and still fire the 100mm or the ATGM in your own turn. Anyway, how do you plan to use the BMP-3? Do you think it's worth the extra points over BMP-2? Let us know in the comments. Once again, thanks to the Restless Kaiser and Johnny B at Modelling for Advantage for supplying this kit for review. Their generous support is helping you see more and more varied reviews. Check out their channel, link in the description. See you next time.